And we are live for this episode of the Freedom Series with none other than Chris Dufey. Chris Dufey is an entrepreneur, author, speaker, filmmaker, health nut, and cookie lover. Protein cookies from Motion in Canggu, of course. A featured expert, an entrepreneur, MSN, CNBC. Currently living in Bali, Indonesia, Australia, and LA, obviously when flights permit. With his daughters and wife. He's a founder and CEO of Coaches Cartel and is obsessed with helping coaches grow their dream businesses and lives. Chris, welcome to the show, dude.
Hey, brother. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Man, I'm so good and so grateful we get to chat. For those of you that don't know, Chris and I are actually good buddies. Up until recent times, we're both living in Bali, still live there, just currently not there. And we'd catch up quite regularly. And I always found when we do, like we would just never have an agenda, never have a plan, but have some magical conversations around all things business, relationships, spirituality, and so forth. And so I'm really looking forward to us chatting today. How you doing today, brother?
Dude, I'm doing really well. Anytime I speak to you, Barry, I'm fucking good, dude. Like the rest of the world gets shut out and I'm just right here. So life is good.
Love that. Look, welcome to everyone who's watching today, whether you're on the replay or live as we're going broadcasting right now across multiple platforms. Rafi from my team is in the chats on all the different places we're streaming live to help kind of feedback through any questions you've got. So 3 things I'd love you to do as a viewer today. Number 1, hit the like or the love button. Let us know that you're there, show your support and that you're watching this episode of the Freedom Series. Number 2, post as many questions and comments in the chat as possible so we can add the most amount of value to you guys as well. Like we have no agenda here. And I'd love to get as many questions answered as possible. And number 3, start a watch party and tag somebody in who is running a business, entrepreneur who you feel needs to watch or see this video. So Chris, I guess I want to tick things off around speaking about this concept of freedom, because something I notice a lot is business owners have this notion of going into business to create some aspect of freedom. Yet what we know is that most fail to achieve that. They end up working more hours than working for somebody else and often paying themselves a lot less than when they had a full-time job. Where did entrepreneurship start for you?
When I was 18 years old, I finished school. I got a 9-to-5 job that lasted like 6 months. And I just quickly found out I was not cut for the 9-to-5. Really fell in love with fitness, started to transform my own body, wanted to help other people go through that external and internal transformation, which I then became a barman and a cellarman so that I could study to become a personal trainer, worked around the clock so I could study, then became a personal trainer at 18. And that's when I started my own business and have worked for myself ever since.
Yeah, fantastic. And an interesting thing is I see a lot, like people are experts at what they do. They might be an expert plumber or painter, or they might be experts at helping people get amazing fitness results, but they're not necessarily born knowing how to run and grow a profitable business that can support their lifestyle. We had a fantastic interview this morning with Mike Michalowicz, who is the author of Profit First, Fix This Next, Clockwork Surge, Talk Back Entrepreneur. And one thing that I brought up with him is that, you know, entrepreneurs often go into business having worked for somebody else. Most of the time, there's the odd entrepreneur that was like, 12 years old, slinging things off the side street and kind of never stopped. But majority of us have gone through some form of employment. And the biggest pitfall with that is that we're conditioned and trained to think that if we spend more time, we make more money.
Yep.
Yet that's, again, a huge pitfall when it comes to growing and building a business. Like, talk us through your journey a little bit around how you went from, having multiple jobs, being passionate about fitness, moving into your own business to where now, like, you do have a lifestyle business. Like, you guys are creating massive change. You're living in Bali with your beautiful daughters, your amazing wife. Pre-COVID, we're obviously traveling around a lot. Now, that's not without challenges or pitfalls or pains. And we're going to get up to a recent challenge that's very fresh in the mind for you a little bit later on, because I think that's very relevant for a lot of business owners as well. But like, how did you get to, I guess, where you are now running the team and doing what you guys are doing?
So I worked for myself from 18 years old, but it was what I call in the time for money trap. So being in a personal trainer, I had an ABN and it was my business sort of thing. But if I didn't show up to train my clients face to face, I wasn't earning money. And that's not really a business. That's a glorified job at the end of the day. And so it was really when I was in Dubai running my fitness business, honestly, I burnt out. I started to really resent what I was doing. I was losing my love for health and fitness. I wasn't spending time with my family. My health was going down the gurgler because I was like training super hard, working super hard. And it was just like, I was just burning myself from every end possible. So that's when I really realized that I needed to learn business. I always loved business. Like looking back, especially in school, like the two favorite subjects was business studies and art. And it's really interesting because that business and art, I actually feel are very similar because of the creative aspect that comes through.
Yeah.
So it was me realizing that I was what I now call the time for money trap, which was essentially, it was great for me having a full book of clients, charging like premium dollars for what I was doing. I'd like to think, and I'm biased, that I was good at what I did, but I was a good technician.
Yes.
And it was when I found out that I needed to be a good marketing is what I fell in love with first. And then that spawned into the rest of business and how that operates. And so it was that decision of when we decided to, okay, we're going to leave Dubai because we no longer wanted to live there. I didn't want to raise my family there. And I started to dabble with this online fitness business. And I was like, hey, look, I think I'm pretty good at it and I really enjoy it and I see the future of it. And that was when my wife, Lauren, said we need to change. Like this is a breaking point right now. And it was almost to the point where she was like, look, I'm going back to Sydney or like we need to do something else. And that's when I was like, all right, do you know what I mean? I'm going to take the leap of faith. I'm going to back myself and let's do this. And so that's when I started the online fitness business. And that's when I really fell in love with business because I could see the power behind what you're creating, this organism that you can create and manifest and mold and what it can actually do, not just as for the business owner, but for the customers and clients that you're serving as well. And then seeing the transformation, what a proper business could do with myself. I then started to help other people do that and then seeing the transformation they went through. So it was funny because I saw the transformation with people's bodies as a personal trainer, but then I saw people's lives change through what a business can do for them. And that's when I was like, hot diggity, this is for me. I want to go to 2 feet in right now. And that's when I just really wanted to just go all in on business and really craft it. And I love it. And I absolutely love it.
Yeah. You said something really interesting there. Chapter 14 is all around entrepreneurship. And I guess me sharing my take or my opinion or experience of entrepreneurship. And I think in many ways, this may come across potentially woo-woo, but I think that entrepreneurship is like such a deep expression of who we are as human and spiritual beings, if we allow it to be.
If not one of the most, for sure, especially with the shit that I'm going through now, for sure.
Yeah. And you talk about loving it, but I think you've got to love all of it. You've got to love what business can bring up in you. Like, I talk through the book and I talk a lot, as you know, that I honestly believe we don't have business problems. We have personal problems that get expressed through our business. And I believe that I was on a call today with some people that I've got shares in their business and they've got a bunch of stuff going on. There's been a couple of problems and challenges and you can see the fear in their eyes when they're kind of sharing this thing that's come up for them and what they're going through. And I'm like it's all good. I was like, okay, cool. What's the cost to the business? What's the potential fallout with clients? What have we put in place to ensure it doesn't happen again? And what are our next steps forward? It's like shit's going to happen, and we'll chat about a current situation. Shit's going to happen, and some of it, we very much attract ourselves. I believe we attract all of it, but some of it very much we make stupid decisions or do stupid shit that causes us to learn hard lessons. And other times, I think that we attract situations to help us to evolve into a greater version of ourselves. And one thing I was chatting to my team about this morning on our weekly meeting was, I was like, are you guys loving business as much as me right now? Or am I in some false sense of security, like life's amazing, like couldn't get any better? And it was interesting. There was a slight mixed response from them. Most of them are like, no, like business is great. Like we're having so much fun. One of my team members said, this is the best company we've worked for, hands down. And one of them said, yes, but it kind of goes in from that and then out from that, being that there's so much work to be done. And I was like, don't misunderstand that there's not a shitload of work I'm doing right now. But the difference is my relationship with busyness, my relationship with tasks, my relationship with projects, my relationship with deadlines. Go back 12 months ago, it was like, fuck, we've got this deadline, like hustle and grind. But I look back and I wasn't being productive because I spent most of my time in my head talking about what had to be done, spewing about it, seeing why it's not the way it is, rather than just getting the shit done. Whereas now it's like it's got to be done. Just do it. Just do it.
So two things come up for me, and I just want to be the realest, rawest thing, and I'll happily pour my heart out right here. I only got back from my training session 32 minutes ago, right? And I was literally lacing up my shoes and I was walking out the door, and I said to Lauren, I go, I've never not wanted to train so much, I think, ever before. Like, I just feel like absolute garbage. But then I noticed my legs were still walking me out the door. I still got on the bike. I still got to the gym. I still did the workout. Do you know what I mean? And so there's going to be tough times, and there's going to be shit that you don't want to do. Do you know what I mean? There's going to be but you just got to do it. And so I think the people that glorify, especially the ones that are going to say, like, do you know what I mean? If you're passionate about what you do, you're never going to work a day in your life. I don't subscribe to that, because there are going to be things that are going to be hard, and then you're just going to do it. And that's why I think habit creation, behavior change, and identity change is so important when it comes to this stuff as well. The second thing is, like, I started therapy 2.5 weeks ago. And after the first session, I came out of it and I was like, I'm never not having a truly authentic conversation. And I'm not like, all with love, I'm putting it out on the table. Otherwise, I just don't want to have the conversation. And I then had, like, an hour after that, I called my parents and we had one of the deepest conversations I've ever had in my entire life. And it's extremely interesting, because then all of this other stuff with business, good and bad, if you want to kind of like label it, has been happening. It's just been so interesting. Like, you even said, you're like, dude, what's going on? Like, I feel a difference in what's happening. And I had countless team members say the exact same thing. And I've had numerous conversations where it's just been like, that was a magic conversation. Like, that was a truly, oh my God, this is good. And in business context conversations. And so the personal development side, like, you don't have business problems, you've got personal problems affecting your business. Yes, 100%. And It was me standing in my own way this entire time. And so then the other thing I realized as well, I go, you know what? I reckon the last 4 months, I've just been in I'll get it done. I'm just moving forward. Do you know what I mean? And I haven't been truly excited and like really bringing my all to it. And it's been interesting how these negative stuff that we've gone through, that I know it's always done for me and not to me, is now really lit me up. And I'm like, oh, hot diggity, we're about to go for it now.
Well, I don't at all think it's a coincidence that 2.5 weeks ago you started a deeper journey of self-inquiry. Like, it's always been there. Like, you're a guy that I know. We've had a lot of sessions and a lot of conversations around deep inquiry, but you made a commitment to go even deeper into inquiry within self, right? I don't think it's a coincidence that within a very short period of time after that happened, you've had a few big things come up in business, because I see time and time again, like, when we work on ourselves, like, everything else around us changes. Like, as you said before, like, we hadn't even spoken. I wrote you a message, said, dude, what's going on? Like, you feel different. Like, I'm quite intuitive, but I could feel you were different. I had no idea that you'd been going to therapy. I had no idea this other stuff was going on. I just felt that there was a difference in the way you were showing up. Now, this is where I feel a lot of business owners, they're not aware of that because they're so busy in the doing. They're like, oh, I've got to go and generate leads. I've got to go and make sales. I've got to go and put this in place. I've got to hire staff members. And it's this fucking doing attitude all the time that's actually stopping them from growing a profitable and purpose-driven business that can work without them, because they're stuck in this like do or input equals output.
Yeah.
Yet the input doesn't have to be 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours a week. And the question I'd ask, for what purpose? Like, what are you actually trying to create with your business? And is what you're trying to create at the cost of what you've already got? Like, I know for me, my first business, bankruptcy, it's like everything I was going out to create, I lost in the process of creating it because I didn't realize I already had it.
Yeah.
And this is why I believe so heavily, and why, like, I talk so much and wrap up in the book, is around the psychological shifts. You mentioned before, the shifts we need to make from an identity perspective to get the business to that position. We can put the system process in place, the team members, all that shit can be going on, and we wonder why we keep hitting our head against a brick wall, why the business keeps falling over, never truly actualizing its potential. We're not feeling fulfilled, we're not feeling happy, keep attracting shitty situations because we haven't worked with the I. We haven't worked with us and how we've shown up and aligned what is it we really want into every conversation, every interaction, every decision, every action we take in business. If you're joining us live, welcome. So grateful you're here. Please hit the like button. Let us know that you're there. And also put your questions below. There's a bunch of questions coming in. We'll get to those in just a second. I had a question for you, Chris. So let's talk about this. So a couple of days ago, you had a pretty shitty thing happen where basically, long story short, there's a post that went up online that was just smashing you about basically ripping off someone else's content. Now, unbeknownst to you, you'd hired an employee a little while ago. They'd gone through a program for research purposes to help create a pillar of your business. You guys are not in competing industries, but a pillar of your business. And they basically ripped off and duplicated word for word this person's content, right? Now, let's be honest, like everyone does it. I know people rip off my content. I've very much in the past gone and studied people's content. Tucky Moore studied his content, made a few changes, put it back out as my own. Like that happens a lot. This, however, was word for word, right? Now, on the one hand, you probably should have known about it.
No,
but on the other hand, we're a business owner that's juggling a million things at any given point in time, right? Any point in time. Anyway, this was found out, this come up. You got smashed online. And I know because of the type of person you are, you've got a huge heart, you care a lot about people, like it took you down and out. So do you want to kind of, I guess, just chat about that a little bit? Because I think the bigger lesson here for business owners is not like if something like this happens to you, it's when and how do you handle it?
Yeah. So it's really interesting because I first found out about it because like a mentor of mine actually sent me a photo and I was like, what? And then like I looked into it and I was like, oh my God. And then it started to unravel and I was like, you've got it. And so this pit in this, do you know what I mean, in your stomach just turns. It's like, what the shit? Then I pulled all my team together. We were in quiet. It took us a little bit of time, but then we found out how the problem actually came about. And I was just like, oh my God, anyway, so it's just like crazy. And so for sure, it happened on my watch and I take responsibility for it. I've had people rip my IP off and I've privately sent people messages and just been like, dude, not cool. Like, what's up with that sort of thing? There was other people that jumped on the bandwagon and kind of wanted to, talk stuff negatively. Anyway, but it's like, it is what it is at the end of the day. And
it's very hard to police it. Like we have in our agreement with our clients that like you're allowed to like teach or share our stuff. We just ask that you ask us permission first.
Yeah.
Like just say, hey, like I've got this business owner, I've got this person, I think this tool could help with, can I share it with them? Yeah, of course. Like, because in the day, our vision, I think very similar to yours, is to help as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And we need to be at the front line continuously creating these tools and methodologies and content and so forth to stay front runners.
I started receiving all these messages from people that I really look up to, that I know are really successful, and they were giving me their words of advice. And overwhelming message was, everyone goes through this. It all happens to the best of us. And like, it was really like, I got told some stories actually from like people that I was like, oh my God. And they're like, dude, like I went through this exactly, blah, 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 blah. Like it's okay. You just got to get through it. Here's how to get through it properly, sort of thing. And so I'm really happy with how we've handled it. And that was a really good thing. And it was a sign of, okay, I need to become stronger and better. And this is forcing me to put better systems in place, me show up better as a human being. And there is a huge silver lining to it. And I obviously, like, my main focus was making sure everything was fixed as well and rectified, especially for the person. And it's also a case of the people, like the hate and negativity that can come online is something I feel the most people are going to face as they rise through. And it's a little bit of a sad fact, but it also, I think, helps you align with your vision and your purpose and have the instillment on yourself. And that was the interesting thing. Like, I was able to fall asleep each night with a clear conscience because I was like, I haven't done wrong. I know that, like, yes, I made mistakes, but it's not like I had the intent to do wrong. So it's been really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like the intent is something something super important, and Carolyn here said, Barry, agree. Like referencing material is a type of information etiquette. Absolutely. I think the main lesson and why like I wanted to share this, a couple of things. Number one is because like most business owners I meet, like actually give a shit about their business and their clients. Most of them, like nearly all of them, really, really care about what it is they do. Now, that same mentality is what keeps them stuck in the business often as well, because they care so much about what they do. They don't want to hire staff in to make mistakes. Like I remember, like 3.5 years into my kitchen and bathroom business, like one of my taglines, I'd never been back to a job. But I'd never been back to a job because I didn't have that many staff, right? Yeah. Now, one of the pitfalls of scale or growth is that you are going to have to hire people. Balls are going to be dropped, shit's going to be slipped through, and you're going to go through stuff, both stuff that maybe you could have prevented and stuff that maybe you couldn't have prevented.
Yeah.
But the most important point here is like, how do you show up when that shit's the fan? Now, you focusing on that doesn't negate the responsibility or trying to do the right thing by the person who had that content, right? There's that element, but then it's also too like I'm not going to crawl up in a fucking ball in the corner of the room, crying my eyes out, think my life's over because someone's talking shit about me online. Like I'm going to own it. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to pull it down, and then I'm going to make a plan moving forward to ensure it doesn't happen again. And that mentality is a mindset mentality that will grow great businesses, and not just businesses, but relationships in general. Yeah. Right? That mentality is what sees you get through pandemics like COVID and all the other shit that we face as business owners, because being an entrepreneur is fucking hard. Like we get the shit kicked out of us some days, sometimes most days, but it's your ability to keep getting back up and getting quicker at getting back up as well. And this is why, I guess, tying it back to, I believe that it is an aspect of like a spiritual evolution is like, do we rely on a source greater than ourselves, an inspiration running through our hearts to guide us in those moments, to realize that we are far greater than any human experience that we get delivered, right? Or do we allow ourselves to like be impacted by every hump and bump along the way? And if you do, you're not going to last very long in business. I'm sorry, you're not.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And there is elements where you must stand there in the middle of the storm and weather it, and you must become stronger for it. And you must grow from it. Like that's what we're here for. We're here to grow and evolve. Otherwise, what the hell are we here for doing at the end of the day? So business, I feel like business and relationships are two of the best ways for our growth and evolution. And it's just been really interesting because, hey, during this COVID time, like my relationship with my wife, Lauren, it just is so amazing. Like I'm so grateful. Like it's just incredible how we're just like multiple times a day, we're just like, God, I love you. I'm so into you. And I just like can't get enough of it. And it's a really cool aspect that sparked from here. I'm like, wow, like we've gone through some really tough times. And during this, like with 3 young kids and just so much growth has happened in such a short amount of time. I just feel like, I don't know, the universe is just like, dude, you're copping it right now and it is time to grow or get out.
I think we get what we need, not what we want. Like totally. I think in many ways, like I've always felt from a young age that we've kind of like signed up and chosen a certain path through life.
Yeah.
Now, it's not to say that we haven't got forks in the road along the way that allow us to either take the smooth road or the rough road. I do believe that as well. But I also believe that we get delivered to us opportunities for us to grow and to evolve and to learn. It doesn't mean that shit things doesn't happen. Like, we've both lost people that we care about. We've both had terrible things that have happened. That's having the human experience. But are you going to allow those things to shape the rest of your life in a way that shuts you down, that isolates you, that draws you back in? Or are you going to allow them to empower you to be more self-expressed, more inspired, and essentially pay forth those learnings to others around us as well? Let's jump in. We've got a bunch of questions here. If you're watching live, welcome. So grateful to be here. Please post all your questions below. Rafi from my team will shoot them through. Darren from Sydney, what are Chris's thoughts on affiliate marketing to sell stuff real quick?
I'm definitely not the right person to ask that question. I do extremely little affiliate stuff. Like 98% of people that have been like, hey, like, let's do a JV affiliate kind of thing. I've honestly turned around and said, you know what? I'll happily promote your stuff. I actually don't want a dime from it. Like, it's actually been more of a case of I honestly just want to help you, and like the relationship's more valuable to me right now, if I could be perfectly honest. Earning, I don't know, a few $1,000s, $10,000, and it just isn't for me, like I'd rather do it. So I don't think I'm actually the best person to ask that question. So probably just not my area of expertise.
Yeah. Good answer. I guess, again, like the intention, is the intention to sell a bunch of stuff real quickly, or is there intention to make like a lasting relationship or to assist someone else? Like for me, I've always found that when my intention is to, lift up and empower and support someone else, whilst also honouring my own needs, they're the best type of relationships. And it's very different to maybe how I would have done business 18 years ago, where I was very much just in it for me and what I needed to get. Colin here from Perth, keen to know more about Chris's book. Could you share why the first 100 clients is critical?
So the first 100, I'm just looking at it on my bookshelf right now. The first 100 clients is really good for tactics and strategies. I am currently writing my next book right now that will kind of be the next level upon
Your
that.
next 100 clients.
Yeah, your next. I literally actually thought that's going to be the name for it, the next 100 clients. So it's really good for getting started. And it's really good to just give you a play-by-play for what it is that you need to be able to do to make sure that you get things up and running, and to also give you a conceptual understanding of these are all the different parts of the business engine. Because I feel like people either don't know that there are parts that are important, or they just get sidetracked and they focus on things that they lose the realm of all the machine working together, and they're not understanding how it all works. So it's a damn good book. Get it for free and like just go through it and have at it. But there will be a new version coming out in 3 to 4 months that should be a lot better. And I will say one thing, the flaw that your first 100 clients has is it doesn't talk about mindset. And so especially with what I'm working on now, both with myself and with clients, is having the models and the mindset together so that you actually have the full working system. Exactly. And that's the thing. Like when I read your book, Barry, I was just like, yeah, spot on. Do you know what I mean? Like this is what you need to be able to do. Because like everyone listening, like, do you mean Barry is so gracious to give me a copy of the book to read through before everything. And it's a effing good book. Like it's really good. Like I was like, dude, like this is like a lot of information. Like there's a lot here. I know that you did that because like when I gave you my feedback, I was like, there's a lot of information here. And I sent the email, I was like, I fucking hope he doesn't take that the wrong way. But I knew that you wouldn't, because it's also you're giving them the actual playbook of what they need. And that's why I really appreciate the effort that you put in, because you've got amazing experience, Barry. You're an incredible entrepreneur. I look up to you. I walk away from our conversation so much better. Like it was only 2-3 days ago. Do you know what I mean? I was like, dude, I'd love to have a chat with you. I kind of need some help right here. And you gave amazing advice. Do you know what I mean? Like amazing advice. So I really appreciate it. And don't get your first 100 clients. Get Barry's book.
Thanks, brother. Get both. Get both. Nick, speaking of team members working below par, what advice would Chris give to those who are considering to hire remote talent?
Awesome. So all of my team is remote. Like we're all everywhere in the world. I firstly look for their attitude and their work ethic. They're the two biggest things that I really, really nail down on, and to see if they're a good culture fit. From there, it's literally just throw them into the pit and see how they operate.
Yes.
And give them the trial. I don't know any other way. Do you know what I mean? One question that I actually really like answering, and I like to dig deep on through the, say, like final interview process, is you being your most selfish self. What is it that you want out of this role and out of this business? So what I want to do with the intent is I want to get their most selfish self answer, taking care of themselves. And if I can align them taking care of themselves and the company's movement and direction, then I feel like we've got a winner. I also don't expect, like, say, for instance, my 3 head coaches, I had one-on-one coaching, like mentoring sessions with each of my 3 head coaches this morning. 80% of the conversation is like, maybe you could call it life coaching. 20% is like business stuff, right? And so I know that there is an extremely high likelihood that they're not going to work for me forever. Like it's just not going to happen. And so much of the conversation, and especially like with my head coach, he brought some stuff up and I was like, oh, dude, this is amazing. I'm like, he's just about to have his first child. And I was like, dude, I can see where you want to go. This is incredible. Like, and so I get really excited to help these people go on that path. And so I think when it comes to what do you need to do when it comes to recruiting good people? And I've recruited terrible people before. So like I'm learning from experience. I still don't think I'm that great from it. Is attitude and work ethic to begin with. And like, are they a nice person? Do you know what I mean? So like, do they show up on time? Are they well presented? What's their language patterns like? Obviously, if you're hiring in person, which you're not because you said it's remote, it's like, are they nice to the waiter? Do you know what I mean? Like, do they take care of that sort of stuff? And then it's just, dude, just throw them in. So if you remember the movie Batman, one of my favorite scenes with the Joker is he's in a room, there's a couple of the gangsters there, and he gets a pool cue and he snaps the pool cue in half and he throws half of it in and he goes, there's only one position, right? And so the whole premise is, and he walks out. So the two guys have to fight to the death and whoever still lives get the position. I like that idea, do you know what I mean? So when you're hiring, get two people, get your top two recruits, throw them in there, there's only one position. If they both perform, epic. Bring them both on board and you can crush it. Or the best performer comes on board.
Yeah, we've done that a lot. The only role we've done that with is sales. We usually hire 3 salespeople, throw them all in for a month, and then winner takes all. But the winner's not necessarily the person who closed the most amount of sales. I observe, like as you said, like I observe everything. It's like, how do they treat the waiter? Like those small little nuances shows you how you're showing up. And it's often like with our clients at events, we play games. And the reason we play games is when someone's playing a game, their facade of who they show up thinking they need to be gets dropped away. They can't hold that facade and play a game, which allows us as coaches to see what's really going on and where they're limiting themselves in their personal and business growth as well. And nicely put, Chris, we do a very similar thing. We find them, onboard them properly, and then pretty much throw them into the role to see how they perform and also work out where the gaps are as well. And the thing is too, like Nick, if you want like a proven system, page 231, you can see there is hiring. We go through a hire blocker 1, 2, and 3, how to hire A-player staff, our hiring process. We actually teach you the hiring process in here and give you downloads of all the questions and the scripts and stuff that we go through and use during that process as well. So that's like our full hiring process you can see in there. At the end, there's a downloadable link. So as Chris said, like made a lot of mistakes when it comes to hiring, but have a very, very proven process now that we've given to our clients that works. Like once you've met the process out, it works. But this is why though too, Chris, like I think you can get all this shit online. You can get systems and templates and documentation. What you can't get online is success mindset, is growth mindset, is that ability that you're willing to show up graciously and authentically and face whatever life throws at you and know that you'll be better on the other side as a result of it.
I remember a quote that I read a little while ago. I might butcher it. And it was essentially, you can buy everything, but the things you must work for is a healthy mind, a strong body, and a loving household. They're the things you must work for. And I really love that because it's like, I mean, you've got to take care of your mental state, you've got to take care of your physical state, and you've got to take care of, like when he said, loving home, I see that as the relationships, the close relationships in your life. They are the things you must work for. Yeah. And that came up, that bubbled up to me when you said, I mean, like the mindset thing is like, yes, because you must work for it.
Yeah.
You've got to get in you've got to get in the ring and get punched in the face a few times to learn. So,
unfortunately, we're making business sound like really like dreary and drab. It's not. Like business is so freaking amazing. But I guess I want to be realist about like what it actually takes to get there. You know, like so often, one of the early episodes of the Freedom series, someone said like, so often we're comparing our behind the scenes footage to someone else's highlight reel online. You know, like if you actually want to create a life of freedom, like financially free, time free, and freedom within self, like fully liberated, business is such an amazing platform. But be willing to never give up. Be willing for it to take longer than you ever thought possible, right? And if you get there earlier, fantastic. But be willing to just keep showing up every day and know that eventually, if you keep showing up every day and stepping towards creating that, you'll get there. It just might not be in this real unrealistic time frame that a lot of people promote as like, oh, like be earning $1 million a year in the next 5 months. Like, yeah, you probably can, but fuck, do you want to go through what it takes to actually get there in that short time? Well, that's a huge amount of growth and sacrifice.
Yeah, no, this is really interesting. And I think personally for me, this is where like so much of my thinking process is right now. Like you started that by saying something like we're making business sound like really dreary and it's not like some fantabulous thing. So two things came into my mind. One was like I've got kickboxing training tomorrow morning, right? 10:30 a.m. for the next hour. I'm getting my ass kicked. Now it's hard. Like
You're paying for
nice.
that. You're
I'm paying for that. But at the end of it, I'm standing there, dripping in sweat, hurting, smiling. Maybe smiling inside. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I walk away from it.
Your teeth or something.
Yeah, exactly. No, don't touch the face. That's what makes the money. But like, it's the process you must fall in love with. So there's two things. It's the process that you must fall in love with, and it's not about is this nice, because I think that's where you need to redefine doing what you actually get your joy out of. But this other thing is, what are you measuring success by? Like, what are the actual things you're measuring to determine? And I feel like the problem I don't like when I look out into the entrepreneurial world and the circles we're in and stuff like that is it's too dollar driven. And I'm just like, yes, dollars in is a great metric in business because it's an easy scoreboard to go up and look at, but it's not the only scoreboard when it comes to all of this as well. Because like I've had some real thoughts, and this is something I'm still doing. So like everyone listening and watching I'm totally struggling with this right now. And I have 3 daughters, 7, 4, and Rumi is 13 months. And I'm like, hang on. And I was just thinking, I was like, this age, especially like Rumi right now, and we know that this is our last daughter, like 3 children. We're like, cool, 3, great number. Let's stick it with that. And knowing that this is the last time, I'm really trying to savor all of it. Yeah. And it's a concept that I'm really being aware of is the last time. You never know when the last time is. My daughter might run into my office to want to give me a hug and a kiss. And I mean, I don't want to be like, oh, no, I'm on a call. Like, shit, do you know what I mean? I don't know when the last time is they're going to want to hold my hand. I don't know when the last time is I'll get to see them, that I get to put them to bed. Like, there's all of these things that I think are really important. And it's the balancing act. So the guest of yours that said, like, you're comparing doing your behind the scenes to someone highlights reel, you have no fucking idea what is going on in that other person's life and where they're at. And I know this is a huge problem for myself. I literally said to my therapist 4 days ago, I go, I'm really having a problem because I'm comparing myself with other things. And I know that's wrong. Logically, I understand that's wrong. Emotionally, I'm still being torn by it. Yeah. And so it's an interesting aspect for us to, as entrepreneurs, to be like, well, am I happy with myself? Am I happy with where I am? And all of these other things. Because this is part and parcel of, do you show up as the person you need to each and every day doing the process that you need to be?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny. I put a post on my Instagram the other day. I went and had a photo shoot with my boys, which was just awesome. So stoked with the photos. And I had a friend over and they were giving me shit lightheartedly, but how competitive I am with my boys, right? Like if I'm playing a board game with them or bowling or anything, like I go all out and smash them, right? And there was this, and it's not the first time someone's criticized me for like not like allowing them to win. I was like, why would I lull them into a false sense of security, like to fuel their esteem and their belonging issues? Like, why not play out and teach them that, you know, it's okay to lose, or it's okay. Like I don't want to protect them from getting knocked down by life. I would rather allow them to be knocked down by life now when they're younger and they're in a safe environment, to train them and condition them around resilience and around failure, around getting back up, because I didn't have that growing up. You know, so all of a sudden you start your own business, you get punched in the face the first time and you run home to mum or dad. Right? Because it's all of a sudden it's a shock. You're in the real world. It's like, no, like bring our kids up with resilience, bring our kids up, you know, being knocked down and being okay to have a healthy relationship with the perceived failure of life. It's all part of it, and find a way to fall in love with the journey.
Yep, 100%. I totally agree. dude, I was playing dominoes with my daughters yesterday, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna win. Like this is going to be my game. And I think it's an important part. Like as a parent, do you know what I mean? We need to be able to help them become the best versions of themselves, to go and become themselves for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And I feel like people that haven't had that experience growing up as well can have a rougher start when getting into the entrepreneurial world, simply because they haven't learned those lessons.
Even life in general, though, you move out of home and it's like you're fending for yourself, and all of a sudden, a lot of these securities are taken away.
Yep.
And you've got to kind of like fend for yourself. But like, it's funny, the day afterwards, we were bowling, and my youngest son kicked my ass. And we celebrated the shit out of it. Like, he won, and he knew that he won because he knew I wasn't playing nice or playing easy. Like, I was going all out, and he won. So that meant even more to him going through that process as well.
So important. I think especially as a father-son relationship, because I remember my dad in my teens, my dad actually gave me this book. I wish I could remember the name of this book, but I'll find the name and I'll send it to you, because it's a really good book, especially for a son in his teens to read about the relationship with his father. And that's a rite of passage. What your son went through was a rite of passage, a part of that passage of him being like, oh my God, like, hang on, like this fatherly figure that I've had, like they look up to you. And as parents, like, do you mean both sons and daughters look up to their parents as like, they can do no wrong. And it's like, no, it's nothing about that. They need to go through that rite of passage for them to become their own selves.
Yeah. They're like, we play Monopoly now, and they are good. Like, they're really good. But it was years of tantrums and getting their asses kicked. But they are so good, and they're smart. And the conversations we have, the negotiations, like it's freaking amazing. Chris, we could chat, like, we're only warming up. We could keep chatting all up. We are out of time. Firstly, before we wrap up, I want to say thank you for everyone who's joined us live, wherever you are in the world, either live here or watching the replay at some point in time in the future. Keep your comments coming in. If you liked the episode, please let us know what you love the most, and hit the like button as well. Chris, if people want to connect with you, what's the easiest way? The Coach's Cartel, get the free book. What's the best way to connect with you?
Easiest way to get in contact with me is to go and buy Barry's book, read it, use it, and that's the best way for you to live a better life.
Yeah, I think you've got a review on the back of that book, actually.
Well, there you go. That's how to connect with me. Go read my review, but then read the actual book and get the value out of it.
Love you, brother. You're amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for sharing too, vulnerably, what's going on. And as I said, like, my kind of intention of seeing if we could share that is just to, I guess, normalize the stuff that we have to face in business. And I've certainly been through a few experiences that have brought me down to my knees, and I've grown, I've learned, I've evolved. And it's very different to like 20 years ago when I saw them as like, why is this happening to me? Why is all this crap going on? Like, now it's like, oh, cool, this is happening for me, not to me. So, brother, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for everyone joining in. Another Freedom Series episode later this afternoon is going to be a baller. I look forward to seeing you guys on that one as well. Thank you, Chris.
See you, brother.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Game Changers podcast. There's a couple of things I'd love you to do to help us and help yourself to spread the message further. Make sure that you like the Game Changers on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. Please subscribe by clicking the link below to ensure that you keep up to date with the weekly episodes we share here at the Game Changers podcast with amazing entrepreneurs and business owners around the world. And of course, like, if you're in a position where you may be overwhelmed with business or looking for a way to grow faster, more effectively, and you realize that the key to success is being surrounded by amazing people who have been there and done that before, I'd like to invite you to apply to have a game plan session one-on-one with one of my team here at the Game Changers. There's no cost if you get through. All that we ask is that you are doing a minimum of $250,000 per year to really be able to utilize the strategies and the tactics and the mindset shifts that we share with you, that you're coachable, that you're a decent person, and you're willing to take on board some advice. If not, that's totally cool. But I know for me, I wouldn't be where I am right now without the support of so many mentors and coaches and resources along the way. And I'd like to pay that forward and give back to you the opportunity to work with us one-on-one for free to put together a customized game plan. And the reason we're doing this is a couple of things. Number one is that sometimes it's just the smallest thing that can make the biggest difference. And I think that entrepreneurs and business owners have the opportunity to change the world.
And if we can maybe help you to make the smallest shift to change your life and your world, you're changing ours in return. The second thing is that we are always looking for amazing clients to work with and to welcome into and invite into the Game Changers community. And so if at the end of the call, you do feel that there's a huge amount of value there, that we feel that there's a great values fit there, we can have a conversation about working together. But this game plan call, there's absolutely no obligations to work with whatsoever. Allow us to help you with the years and years and years of knowledge that we have in growing and scaling great companies. And I think that business owners are the future of the world. If there's a way that we can help you to create a better business, more profit, more fulfillment, more fun, I would love the opportunity to do that now. So click the link below, book your game plan session, make sure you follow us on social, and start to date with the latest episodes of the Game Changers podcast. My name's Barry William Magadity. Thank you so much for your support and look forward to seeing the next one. Bye for now.